news. Recently, I got the exclusive endorsement in the House District 63 race for Texas Right to Life. I'm the anti-abortion candidate in that race.
Yay.
You may also know me, though, because my ex-wife is trying to transition my son to a girl in Dallas County. And a Dallas County judge invented a number of pretexts to take my sons from me so she could transition my son against my consent. He's using the girls' restroom at school. They're teaching him that he's actually a girl. The teachers, the principals, the police officers all tell him he's a girl. And right now, it's just me fighting that judge. Now, the Texas legislature had an opportunity to stop this insanity and protect every child in Texas from the stray bullets.
That's right.
I work with thousands of grassroots activists and mainstream foundations to outlaw gender modification of children in Texas. I work with Joe Glover night and day. I was an invited speaker to the Senate. I spoke for an hour and stood up to those Democrats who cross-examined me on this issue and destroyed it. But the Texas legislature just couldn't get this bill passed, and it's because the establishment blocked it in the House. Now, by some accounts, I and the people I worked with and the legislative coalition in the House that I put together generated more political power to pass that bill than almost any bill in Texas history. We shut down the phone trunks to the Capitol 3 times. There were some offices that were recording over 100 lobbyists a day on my bills. Now, folks, I don't think you can get more grassroots political power for a bill than that. But we need more power. And that's why I want to go to the Texas legislature for House District 63. I've proved that I can generate tremendous political power in the service of political and conservative causes, but we need even more power. And by going to the legislature, I will be able to get that bill passed. I will outlaw gender modification of children in Texas, and I will achieve all of the Texas Republican legislative priorities. And you can ask people like Brian Slade and other people that I work with, that's no joke. Now, I've only got 5 minutes. I can't go into all the issues, but if you go to my website, jeffyoungerfortexas.com, you'll find detailed legislative programs for all these issues and more. And I mean detailed legislative programs that are ready to be written into laws. These are not, I'm for closing the border. These are not, I'm for getting rid of CRT in schools. I'm going to tell you how to do it. And I'm going to tell you that most of the approaches that you hear from other candidates will not work. And people in Austin know that and capitalize on that. That's how we get bills that Peyton was talking about that don't do the job. If you go to my website, you'll see what a real conservative legislative agenda actually looks like for a change. And I want to hear from you about those programs. I want to know if you think they can be improved and how we can make them more effective. So let me know. But for these next few minutes, my fellow Texans, I want you to lend me your ears. I haven't come just to talk about policies. I've come to talk about good and evil. Because what that legislative fight over gender modification showed me is that this is a fight about good and evil. This was the most obvious moral question ever to be brought forward in the legislature. Now, the evil that these men are doing, that block these laws in our state government, I mean, it lives on beyond their terms of service. And the little good that these men do, you know, it's often buried with their reputations when they leave. And so we're left with the negative balance of their actions, year after year after year. Now, you might blame it on their ambition. And these men are ambitious. I'll tell you, go down here, you'll find that out. They have ambitions to further their own pecuniary interests at your expense. I saw that many times. You might blame it on a system. And the system is abused. It's a system that incentivizes compromise with the left and the evil that they do in the state. And you might blame it on human nature. And these men are sinners just like us. They have a nature that pushes them to make bad decisions about important issues. You might blame it on many things, Texas. There are many things you might blame it on. But Jesus said, before you pluck that splinter out of your neighbor's eye, remove the stick from your own. We get the government we deserve. That's the hard teaching. It's in Alan West's book. We deserve this government. So how can we change? How can we do better? How can we, let me put it another way, in our system of representation, how can we get better representatives? The answer is simple. Select people who have been harmed by governments. They know why government should be strictly limited. Select men that have their back against the wall. Men that have experienced the steel fist of government around their necks and live to talk about it. Men who, if they don't act, can lose something dear and important to them. And you know about my son, the left came from my son. They are literally trying to castrate my son. Literally. Now, do you think I'm going to back down?
No.
Do you think I'm ever going to fear these monstrous tyrants that want to do this to children and can keep this border open and all the terrible things they're doing in Texas? Do you think I'm ever going to give up on my sons?
No.
Well, I'm asking you to vote for me, Jeff Younger, for House District 63, because I am a victim of government, but I'm also an avenger against government. And I will never desert you. I will never desert your family. I will never desert the great state of Texas in this fight that we're all in together. Thank you.